Welcome into Saints Now. I'm your host, Trace Girouard. I will shortly be joined by Abby Alonzo. And guys, I got to just give a quick shout out to the Who Dat Nation because not just yesterday, but over the entire weekend, we picked up 408 subscribers. In yesterday's video alone, we picked up 130 new subscribers. So before we get into today's show, I just want to take a quick second to remind all of the new subscribers and the new members of our squad to turn on your notifications, set them to all. That way you get notified anytime we post a short, a video, we go live, or anytime we put out any sort of content. So guys, please feel free to subscribe, join us, help us reach 15,000 subs. We just passed 14K yesterday. So help us out, lock us in, and turn on your notifications. What's happening, Who Dat Nation? Welcome into today's show. Like I said, Abby Alonzo will be joining me here momentarily. And guys, we're breaking down Mel Kiper's draft grades because he gave the Saints a B-. And I don't necessarily know if I agree with that because I think that the Saints had a pretty damn good draft. He did hand out draft grades for all 32 teams, and so we're going to break down what he had to say in today's video. So just as a recap, here are the 2023 NFL draft picks for the New Orleans Saints. They took Bryan Bresee in the first round at number 29 overall, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Isaiah Foskey, the edge rusher out of Notre Dame at number 40. Kendre Miller in the third round out of TCU, a running back that I am very, very excited about. Nick Saldiveri, the Saints traded up to go get him. It's going to be a great move. It's going to add some juice to that much-needed offensive line. Jake Haener, quarterback out of Fresno State. He comes in the fourth round as well. And then in the fifth round, Jordan Howden, the safety out of Minnesota. And in the sixth round, I would say one of the steals of the draft, A.T. Perry at number 195 overall. The Saints went in with 8 draft picks. They walked out with 7 after trading around and doing some stuff. So just before we get into this, I have to say this. Mel Kiper doesn't know ball. Mel Kiper giving that draft class a B- is just atrocious. I don't understand why he thinks it was that bad. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think that they did a great job drafting positions of need. I think they did a great job addressing, spots that they needed to go and get. They traded up for players that they wanted. That's something that Mickey Loomis has and always will do. And if he finds a guy, he's going to go and get it. So I just got to say, Mel Kiper doesn't know ball. He's clearly a Saints hater, unlike Abby and I. So guys, I need you to be the judge. Show Mel Kiper and, let him know what your grade is, because at the end of the day, I think Abby and I both really liked this draft. Abby, I'm going to bring you in. What did you think of this draft class?
I thought they did a good job. I don't think a B- was sufficient for this draft for the Saints, at least. And I will point out that Mel Kiper handed out B's and B pluses and B minuses to just about every single team. I don't think there were many with A's, and I don't think anyone got lower than a B-. So maybe he was just trying to play it safe and give everybody B- and just say, hey, good job, everybody, participation trophies. Yeah, no, I think the Saints did a really good job, and I would say B+, A- range.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Abby, if you want to just break down what Mel Kiper had to say on Bresee, I just want to get your thoughts on this.
So we'll start breaking down these draft picks here. New Orleans instead landed my third-ranked defensive tackle, Bryan Bresee, who isn't as good against the run as Carter, but does have some pass rush upside. After his freshman season in 2020, I thought Bresee was a future top 5 pick, but he missed all of 2021 with an ACL injury. If he can put everything together, he could be worth it because teams covet interior pass rushers. Look, I think we've talked about this, Trace, that this was obviously probably not your first pick, but he does fill a need for the Saints. That defensive line needs all the help it can get right now. It used to be so good. It kind of deteriorated, but they did a good job of building it back up. And yes, did you have maybe some other prospects that you would have wanted? Sure. Who was left on the board? Bresee. Who was the best defensive tackle left on the board? This guy. The Saints did exactly what they were supposed to do by grabbing the best available defensive tackle left in Bryan Bresee. In 2022, he had 15 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, and 2 passes broken up. Remember, he did miss all of 2021 with that ACL injury, but he showed that he can come back and get the job done. These stats are good stats coming off an ACL injury.
Yeah, and not to mention having your sister pass away.
I was gonna say this kid has been through it and still managed to come back in 2022 and just get it done. Mm-hmm. I have all the respect in the world for him, and I think he'll fit in great with this defensive line. You look at it, it looks a little bit different now. Cam Jordan, of course, he's not going anywhere, but Kalen Saunders, Bryan Bresee, and Isaiah Foskey. Come on. I think the Saints did a good job with this. Do you like the Bryan Bresee pick? Let us know down in the comment section. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think you guys know how Trace and I feel. Good move. Not terrible. Probably did the best you could given the position that you were in the draft. So we give it a Y. Yes, we like it. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. Trace?
Guys, and if you want to go get geared up and rock a Bryan Bresee jersey, we have those available for you at chatsports.com/Saints Bresee. Now, he is wearing number 1 in this picture. Obviously, he will not be number 1 for the New Orleans Saints this year. So whenever you order it, this is just a placeholder picture. You will get the number that he is wearing. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but if you want to go get geared up, swagged out, and iced out, go to chatsports.com/Saints Bresee, and I will have those the link for you available in the comment section and in the description of today's video. So without further ado, let's break down what Mel Kiper had to say for day 2. He said, I thought that the Saints reached a bit for edge rusher Isaiah Foskey at number 40 overall in the second round on day 2. And I would have preferred running back Devin Achane over Kendre Miller at 71. Nick Saldiveri at 103 played mostly right tackle in college, but he will likely move into inside guard for New Orleans. So in terms of Isaiah Foskey, I love this pick. I really, really like this move, and I will tell you why. But first, I want you to just take a look at this production and tell me that you don't absolutely love this. The number that I want to really highlight here is the sacks and the tackles for a loss, because those are things that the Saints struggled with pretty mightily, I would say, in the 2022 season. 10.5 sacks, 44 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in just 12 games played. And I'm just going to say this. I don't think going and getting the all-time sack leader is a reach in the second round. It's not like Notre Dame is some rinky-dink program. Notre Dame is a blue blood. Notre Dame is a very well-known, very well-respected program. And I think that it was a great move for the Saints. And I really was happy with it because I wanted the Saints to go and address the defensive edge. And I was talking about that for weeks and weeks leading up to the draft. Use the first-round pick on defensive tackle, second-round pick on an edge rusher. And that's exactly what they did. And he's a great culture fit. He wanted to be in New Orleans. He said after he got drafted on the phone with this family, there's videos of it everywhere. He said, that's the team I wanted. That's the team that I wanted, and they were the ones that I want to go get. And I just am a big fan of going and getting Isaiah Foskey. Abby, would you like to tell me about Kendre Miller? Because I know you love this pick.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. When we watched him go off the board, I think both of us were like, damn, what about Tyjae Spears, right?
Yep.
Because, I mean, that's a good story. He went to Tulane, would have loved to keep him in NOLA. He's in Tennessee now. Kendre Miller is growing on both of us, I think. In 2022, just to give you an overview of what he looked like this past season, in 14 games, he had 224 carries, 1,300 yards at TCU, 17 rushing touchdowns, 16 receptions, as well as 116 receiving yards. Pretty good stats, would you say, Trace?
Yeah,
I think those are nice to see. Again, TCU did really well this season.
Yeah,
clearly,
he's a big part of that offense.
Right. I think it grows on me every day. Yeah. I like not only what he's able to do on the field, but you're starting to see his character come through and kind of his personality, and I love it. Every time the Saints have a successful season or we see the most success from New Orleans is when they are you've got characters in the locker room.
Yeah.
I mean, look, guys like Cam Jordan. I will say Kendre Miller not called out, but told Alvin Kamara, look, dude, I respect the hell out of you, but I'm coming for your job. And I think that's the type of healthy competition you want in the locker room, people constantly pushing each other to be better. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch this kid work.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
And I think that he'll be a great compliment to Jamal Williams while Alvin Kamara faces his suspension. And even when Alvin Kamara is back, I think it's even more of a compliment to Kamara because you have the zoom with Alvin Kamara, the pass catching, get him in open space, do what you need to do. You have Jamal Williams, who's just going to ground and pound. He's going to dice it up, and he's going to cut you up in the front and get some yards and fight for those extra couple yards. And then you bring in Kendre Miller, who can do just that even more. Which
I will argue that this running back room might be one of the best in the league.
I couldn't agree more.
It's kind of scary. It really is. Like, I just imagine. I'm so excited. I can't even form words.
The three-headed monster that the Saints have right now is just. It's miraculous. It's unbelievable.
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped. We love both picks. I love the Isaiah Foskey pick. I think Abby loves the Kendre Miller pick.
Both.
But they're both awesome picks. So I'm not going to pick one, but I need you to pick one because I'm not, we're just the ones talking about it. You guys got to pick one for us.
And I mean, defensive pick versus offensive pick, you can like both, but pick one just because for the hell of it. But I will say this team, they have completely revamped the entire thing. Like, they didn't just address the offense or the defense. Like, they went to work in free agency and grabbed Derek Carr and then did it again in the draft. It just I'm a big fan of this draft. Yeah,
Absolutely.
B- Mel Kiper. I don't know what you're talking about, but
Mel doesn't know ball, dude. He just doesn't know ball, and it just proves it. But anyway, for day 3, the Saints were still active, and they went and got quarterback Jake Haener at 127, who landed in a fun spot. His closest comp in size and mechanics, you're going to love this, Who Dat Nation, is Drew Brees.
Don't you love to read that?
Don't you love seeing that on a Saints channel? Now, if the 6-foot pass catcher becomes as good as Brees, I'll be regarding this draft as an A. That's it, Mel? That's all it's going to take? All right, good to know.
Might have a baby Brees on our hands.
Yeah, I'm so excited, Abby. I'm so pumped. But I'll see his ceiling as really solid backup behind Derek Carr or a low-end starter, which is perfect for that role for Jake Haener. A.T. Perry at 195, a 6'3" wideout, has 26 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. Now, Abby, we're going to talk A.T. Perry here in just 1 second because I know we both have thoughts on this. But my take on this, the Saints needed a quarterback 3. They went and got a quarterback 3. You're not keeping Jameis around forever as a backup quarterback. At some point, even if you keep him the rest of his career, he's going to retire. So you need a younger guy to develop behind Derek Carr. There's no pressure for Haener. He doesn't have to go and fill in as a starting quarterback today. So he can be a great quarterback 3, bump Jake Luton back down to the practice squad, and there you go. Like, I think that's a great move for the New Orleans Saints.
It made sense.
Yeah.
We talked about Jake Haener probably 3 months ago, Trace.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding. And his comparison was a lot like Drew Brees then. And again, at first I was like, oh, man, what about Jameis? But he's not going to be around forever, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring in somebody who, when Carr and Jameis are both, eventually they are not going to be here anymore. Like, they are going to retire, move on, whatever. You have to have somebody ready to go. I think this was a good snag. If he can develop, again, this is not a guy that'll come in and make an immediate impact, but he'll be learning from 2 guys that are very good quarterbacks, right? And he's already got comparisons and traits of Drew Brees. I think this was kind of one of those he's exactly where he's supposed to be kind of thing.
Absolutely.
If you're comparing him to Drew Brees, the GOAT of New Orleans, I'm here for it. He landed exactly where he's supposed to be.
Well, and this is just something that I cooked up this graphic a week or 2 ago, Abby. And this is Jake Haener versus Drew Brees coming right out of college. So 5'11" versus 6 foot. Jake Haener is about 6 foot, 5'11". Our measurables say 5'11", but it's around there. Point being, about the same height. Around the same weight, 207 versus 209. The hand size, a little bit smaller, but hand size is a big thing, I guess, nowadays. And then in the senior year stats, this is where it gets kind of interesting. 72 completion percent compared to 60 completion percent. 2,896 yards versus 3,668. 20 touchdowns to 26 and 3 interceptions to 12 interceptions.
Yeah.
Which is intriguing. And obviously, Brees went to the Chargers out of the draft. But point being, it's easy to compare these two. It really is.
I do want to say, first off, you guys know I'm a huge Drew Brees advocate. Read his book. He's a phenomenal person.
Absolutely.
But he faced a lot of adversity. So you look at those senior year stats and kind of good, kind of bad, 12 interceptions. He came in, had a really rough patch with the Chargers, and then landed where he was supposed to be. Jake Haener has that same type of hunger to succeed.
Absolutely.
Like I've heard that, I've read it, and I think that is the biggest kind of turn on. Honestly, that's a huge trait, especially for a New Orleans team. We know how much that aspect affects the game. And you look at this, he idolized Drew Brees. Like, this just feels so perfect.
Well,
Trace, do you want to read that?
This quote, the Saints were my childhood team growing up because I loved watching number 9. Drew Breesiana play football. I'd wear Breeze jerseys, Saints beanies. Having the opportunity to go play in New Orleans is a dream come true. And just look at this picture.
I look.
That's your QB3. You gotta love that.
The tide is turning in New Orleans. They've done everything right, and grabbing somebody that looked up to Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a big reason of why he plays football, why he wears number 9. That's a little extra motivation for him to go out and actually become, hopefully, Drew Brees 2.0. I know New Orleans would love that, right?
Yeah.
Saints we're on the up. Watch out.
It is a very steep curve going upward.
I'm pumped.
So here's what Mel Kiper had to say, just kind of round things out. There were a few significant reaches in this New Orleans class, which drops it to the lowest tier of those grades. I'll said it before and I'll say it again. Mel doesn't know ball. If you don't think Mel knows ball, type F Mel in the comment section.
No,
if you know ball, prove it. Prove it. Come on, Mel.
No, they just want to hate on Nola.
That's all that they want to do. That's all that they want to do. I was a big fan of this draft. I was really happy with it.
I'm like, okay, could it have been better? Every draft can always be better, but it's not set up for you to completely kill the draft.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way. We're lucky we even had a first-round pick.
Yeah.
You're going to look at me and give us a B- after we finagled things during the offseason to put us in the position to have a QB1 and a first-round pick after it looked like everything was going to crap?
Yeah.
A B-, Mel. Be better.
Bad take. Just ice cold take by Mel. Ice cold take by Mel. But guys, as Abby's laid out, there was a lot of really good moves by the New Orleans Saints this offseason. So let us know, how would you rate it as a whole? Would you scale 1 to 100? 100, perfect offseason. They absolutely crushed it. 1, they did nothing good. You think that this was a terrible offseason and you think that they're not going to win a single game. I would say I got to give this offseason an 88.
Yeah.
88 is about as, you could even argue up to the 90s, for me at least. I think that this was a great offseason for the Saints.
Yeah, I obviously can't give it 100. If you give anything 100, it's probably not true.
Yeah,
because you just can't. It won't be perfect ever. I would say high 80s, low 90s. They literally went out and addressed every problem. Quarterback, defensive line. You even grabbed a receiver like A.T. Perry.
In the 6th round. He was getting draft grades to going in the 4th and 5th. Come on now.
Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, respect.
Shouts out, y'all. Shouts out, Money Mickey.
I'm here for it. I got y'all's back.
Shouts out, Money Mickey. Shout out, DA. Y'all have crushed it this offseason. And guys, before we head on out of here, do not be a Falcons fan. Don't stay out of the loop. Don't be a fraud. Hit the dang noti icon. If you enjoyed the entire video of today, please let us know in the comments section. Show Abby some love in the comments because we love having her on the show. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's content. Do not forget, Abby, you want to hit him with it?
Stay golden.
We'll see you next time.